Welcome back to another episode of Chocolate Conversations Podcast. I'm your host, Keon Taylor, a.k.a. Key, alongside my co-host, the inspirational Dr. V. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Looking beautiful as ever.
Thank you.
And last but not least, the myth, the legend, play cousin, High Feet Stokes, everybody. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing, beautiful people?
We can't call it.
Yeah.
And guys, I know you're looking at this beautiful lady right here on the couch. She needs no introduction, but I'm gonna go ahead and welcome her the right way. She's a writer. She's an attorney, hardworking, friend of mine. You know, great young lady, great in the banking industry. She's been a big part of Charlotte culture for many, many years. Guys, I want to give it up to the legendary CM Writer. What's going on?
Hey, y'all. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the chaos.
I like chaos.
Organized chaos. That is. Organized
The
chaos.
Conversation Podcast. Just know you're always welcome here. You know, you family now, so she in the chocolate
right
family. You know what I mean? So guys, before we get into what the topic is, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this video, share this video, comment on this video. Let's get into this. You know what, guys? There's a quote by Chris Rock. He said something on a stand-up one time. He said, married and bored or single and lonely. Ain't no happiness nowhere. So the name of this topic we're doing today is being single the new addiction? The single life, empowerment or addiction? Are we single by choice or are we just addicted to freedom? All right. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it, guys. So what do you guys feel about that when it comes to single life? Why do you think it's so addicting, and why do we put pressure on people to be in relationships in today's modern era?
I'm letting the ladies go first before I.
You asked two questions. So why do we put pressure on people to be in a relationship?
Especially women. Absolutely. We do. I feel like there's a lot of pressure. Hey, why don't you marry you? Or your homegirl's like, where your man at? Or maybe your grandma would be like, you ain't got no husband yet. You know, but maybe you just want to be single. Maybe you just want to do what you want to do.
Yeah, it's weird because it's that's from society. We know that comes from society standards and the norms of especially pressuring women to be in relationships or get married earlier, like how our parents did it. My parents got married. My mom was like 21 when she got married. And again, it's been, 60-something years? So 40-something years. So back then, they did get married earlier. And of course, we know, fast forward now, a lot of people are waiting, especially women are waiting later. So I think it just comes from society standards of what people feel like this is the way you should do it, get married early or not even if you don't want to get married, but be in a long-term relationship. And if you're not in a relationship, they think something's wrong with her.
Why
yeah. But what's exciting is statistics are showing that a lot of people, especially Gen Z and the younger generation, they are choosing to be single. They like it. They see it as a freedom. They see a lot of benefits of being single. And it might to some people it might be addictive because it depends on their personality. Me personally, I don't have an addictive personality, but so I'm single now by choice. Waiting for that person.
You know, a beautiful woman. You know, I'm surprised you're single right now. You know, you are a beautiful woman.
Yeah, we have to unpack that while I'm single.
We're gonna
standards here.
We're gonna unpack that. What about you, Connie? What's your take on that?
CM. I think that anything can be addictive. You can be addicted to exercise and good health. You can be addicted to taking trips. Anything can be an addiction. So singleness can be an addiction for people who practice habits of being single. Some people practice habits of having a relationship. Others do it being single. And if your everyday thing is being single, and if you tie into that, some people having bad relationships, so single feels better than in a couple.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they're going to go to the thing that feels good. It feels good when no one is checking up on you. It feels good when you don't have that toxicity around you. So it feels good, so you're going to go towards that. As far as the pressure to be coupled up or married, I think people, you know how people use like different components of the Bible to push whatever it is they believe. So everyone wants you to be fruitful and multiply, right?
Yeah.
And so in order to do that, most people put it on you that you should be in a marriage. I agree with being in a marriage to produce children.
Yeah.
But the pressure to do that is where I find the problem. Everyone is not called into the ministry of parenthood or marriage.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
therefore that
It's an
pressure
issue.
comes from a place where I think people feel like they know better for you than sometimes the creator knows for you. That's all I'm going to say.
Man, you preaching to the choir, CM. You definitely preach to the choir because I think sometimes everybody has a lane. Everybody has their place. Everybody have different experiences. So stay in your lane. Don't try to, okay, well, all my homegirls are getting married, so that means I need to find a husband. I gotta find something quick. And then that turns into broken relationships. You know, trying to copy what everybody else doing. Well, you know, CM doing it or Hafiz doing it. What you got on the Hafiz?
Well, I mean, statistics have shown marriages are down and divorces are up. It's a number of factors. It's hard to just put it on just one thing.
Yep.
But I've said this before. We've just, like, especially in our community, we've just kind of become more counter dependent of each other. You know, we're all, there's more people in the workforce.
Yep.
A lot of women are making money and earning just like men. They're becoming high value women and out earning some of the men that they that would be in their dating pool. So, which that makes us a little more separated in there. Whereas you don't necessarily need a man for this or need a woman for that. So, and then as you go through your normal walks of life and how your daily routine, sometimes it's hard to plug somebody in there in your space when you're so used to doing your normal routine. And to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, you got those who are always used to being in a relationship. You say you see them like they always with somebody, and then versus somebody they don't never have nobody. And I usually find that in cases where people who've been out of relationships for a long time,
Stuck in their ways.
you get stuck in your ways. It's hard to plug somebody, a man or a woman, in there when you just been single for so long. You've been doing your routine, and it's hard to adjust to a new person. And now you got to adjust to how they are, their attachment. Because you're not only just investing your time, you investing emotionally and everything. So like a combination of all of that, and us, more people are working and kind of becoming counter dependent of themselves. Yeah, it can become like kind of an addiction.
And some people say, and I've heard people say, man, it's just safer to be single. It's just safer. Like you said, toxic relationships. I just don't want to deal with the BS. You know, some people put on that they come off as being one way, but then when you're in a relationship, when you're like, wait a minute, I didn't know this person. I didn't know this person was like this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I got another question for Chris. So, what are the narratives around being single for women? And then I'm gonna get to you as far as what are the narratives around men being single, whether it's good or bad. What are the positive and the negative narratives around being single when it comes to women?
You want me to take it? Okay. So I think that a lot of times what gets pushed is, well, you're going to hit the wall. You're going to age out of the dating pool. You're no longer going to have options. And don't you want to have kids? And
Here's the classic. You passed 35.
yeah. And I'm just like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's insanity.
It was like, this is ridiculous.
It's insanity.
Everyone thinks they have options, and we talked about this prior.
Yeah.
People, you don't have options. Like, you don't. Like, your option is his option. His option is somebody else's option. That means you only have opportunities. You don't have options. People will move and groove however they so choose. It may be with you, it may be with him, it may be with somebody else. So when you think that you are in a position where you will always have an opportunity, everybody's hitting the wall. And it's not just women. I don't know why men feel like they can somehow get past that 35 because your reproductive juices start deteriorating by 30.
I was going to piggyback on that. Maybe it's because of fertility, because they say when a woman gets a certain age, she's no longer as fertile. But then men can have babies on up till he's 80. So they're looking at it like his clock is not ticking.
Right, but they deal with ED.
Exactly.
When they get a little older, and their drive isn't like ours. Because women, when you get into your early 40s or late 30s, with our hormones, our sex drive goes up like an 18-year-old boy. So we're opposite. So that's why you see a lot of older women with younger guys, and y'all be trying to figure it out. And then these older dudes, they can't keep up, depending. So it's definitely since you want to,
no,
they want to take it.
Since you want to take it there about
Let's
you
go.
know,
You want to take it
I
there?
wanna take it there.
Take it there.
it's
Ooh,
dude,
okay.
but I don't think it's y'all got some friends. Y'all have no clue because they're not going to tell y'all. But we because women, we talk about it. Okay, when y'all get a certain age, it's not
doing what it's supposed to do.
It's not doing what it's supposed to do.
Even scientifically, because y'all like to throw that around, scientifically, the motility of your reproductive juices starts to deteriorate at 30. And y'all don't know that. So you should have your children earlier if you're going to have them. Not later, and a lot of, and look, I'm about to go into my other hat as a scientist in my mind.
CM, go there. If you're going to go there, go there. If you're going to go there.
A lot of reproductive issues that happen with couples actually comes from the man, and people think it's the woman because of the motility of the man's reproductive juices.
You talking about like his sperm count and all goes down?
No, it don't move like it's supposed to move anymore. It's just, that's what it is. But they always think it's the woman when the reality is actually the man. Sorry to break it to you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to Hafiz over here. So what are the narratives when it comes to being single for men? Because I know you being a successful man such as yourself, I know you can speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of. I mean, there's some pressures from men, and then it's not like, especially nowadays, they're not putting a lot of pressure on men to like find the one. It's a lot of energy out there for men to just continue to stay on your purpose. Because naturally men want, like, women want quality where men want quantity. You know?
Explain that.
Well, because if a woman, if she can consolidate all the things that she want in one man, that would be it. Whereas men, that's why we create value for ourselves, so that way we can have quantity to pick from. You know, so that's the reason why men go out and do the things they do, drive the car they work the place they work the place that they work, so they can, you know, have an abundance of options and pick the best from the pool of women that they have. So with that comes a lot of different things where men are afraid to settle down. And if they don't have the options, it could be a lack of scarcity or a lack of abundance. So all those play into, and then just, you know, the energy that's out there in social media and in the world that we live in now, where is putting the energy in men's minds to not maybe want to settle down.
So let me ask you this. You said something interesting before I'm gonna get to CM, because you're making that face like. So let me ask you this. You said because, you know, you got dating coaches out here, you got red pill space, you got don't trust these, don't, you know, men are this, men are that.
Yeah.
So for the fellas out there that's watching, why are men afraid to commit? Why are men afraid to get in relationships or to settle down? What are they afraid of?
I think Randy mentioned it earlier. Fear of missing out too. Fear of missing out.
So you mean tell me if he settled? So you telling me if he settled down with a great woman, he's afraid maybe I'm missing out on these women over
Could
here.
Be missing out, yeah.
You know, and I settled for this. Kind of like I think we had a conversation about back in the day when a lot of people were married, and I'm sure a lot of them probably feel like, okay, did I settle for who I'm with now, or did I make the right decision? Because, you know, you can access people more now than ever
before. Yeah, that's why I told a couple guys, I said, I commend brothers now who can get engaged and married in this current dating climate, because it's so much, and women too, it's so much access to just people that you didn't even know existed through social media, dating apps, everywhere. You know, so I commend anybody who can find in a stable relationship or even get married in today's
That's
climate.
very interesting. You said that they're afraid of missing out, because I would think that, you know, if you meet the right woman and she's everything in a bag of chips and y'all can build a family together, it's cheaper. They say it's cheaper to keep her. You know, y'all can build and can build a kingdom versus just out there in the streets, in and out. That's a lonely life. I've been about that life. You know, this woman, that woman. Then after a while, it does get to a point where it gets lonely a little bit. Where it's like, man, how many women can a man have? You know, how much ass do a man need?
I've heard some males also say that reason they might, if they have unhealed trauma in their past relationships, that is holding them back from actually settle down. Thinking that person might cheat depending on what happened, or trust issues or things they experienced in their childhood, and really don't want to put themselves in a situation depending on the severity of the trauma. So that's another reason why men have said until they went to counseling, especially after George Floyd incident happened, a lot of my black male friends, that was an increase where I saw a lot of them they went to counseling. So until they started going to therapy and working, unpacking some of those traumas from their childhood that they didn't really realize that still lingered on to them until they start tapping into it, they were at a better place. And then the fear of missing out becomes less, because they're like, well, I know what I want now, and they worked through some issues. So.
Right. I'm gonna also add too, just like with marriage, sometimes the fear of divorce too. You know, you look at a lot of celebrities and wealthy men and women, our relationships are splitting, and it's like, dang, a wealthy man can't keep his woman, and what can a regular average brother can do? You know, so that on top of that,
I hear that all the time about divorce. And I'm like, okay, average
can we make it past the 5-year mark?
You are not the wealthy man, so you don't have to worry about losing your assets. I mentioned earlier, so I used to practice family law back in the day, and most people do not pay alimony. It's not a thing because you marry somebody in your income pool.
Yep.
So you have the same level of income. Assets will be split. Most people just go non-contested divorce and no assets are split at all. Yeah. And so I think a lot of times, especially on social media, people replace what they see in someone famous, wealthy, with what they're living in their average regular life.
It could be that too.
Like that ain't real for you.
It's not real for us.
It's not real. So the average person, the average couple, if they divorce, they not like
They both of them taking debt.
Yes.
I mean, what is she gonna do with your 1994 Honda Civic? Nothing.
Like, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but that mindset is out there. A lot of guys getting fearful
because
too,
it becomes an echo chamber. You repeat it and it gets washed around the group, and then it gets repeated. The more you repeat it, the more real it becomes for you, whether it's real or not. Right. And you see that a lot in social media. Like one person will say it, then the next person, and it just becomes a thing. And now it's grown bigger than the reality of what it actually is. And they never actually ask someone who's been through it. It's always this fantasy life, this life of, oh, Dr. Dre's wife took him for this.
All this money.
You are not Dr. Dre.
You ain't on that level.
So divorced people are keeping people married.
What'd you say?
Divorced people are keeping regular people from getting married.
Yes. And when you listen to them, they're like, oh, I don't want to pay child support. I don't want to pay alimony. Like, you don't have any children. She has no children. Right. You don't have any money. Like, what are you talking about? Right. You're not paying anything.
It's funny you mentioned that, CM. So it's almost like people are taking themselves out of the game before they even get started.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Hey, I see V going through this, so that means y'all situations are different.
Everybody's
Take a
situation
chance.
is different.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Yeah, and
looking at somebody else's situation and making it yours. That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy work.
Yeah, and I still, honestly, I still believe in marriage because my parents are still married. I mean, I just hear conversations from a lot of guys that are kind of fearful and scarcity of going the next step because of situations like that.
But are they divorced though?
No, they're not divorced at all.
That's your point.
Yeah, right. They're not divorced.
I've dated
some are
a
and
few
some are,
divorced men, and the biggest thing they say, they don't even worry about none of that. It's you feel like a failure because when you signed up for it, you thought it was for life. So it's more that emotional damage they're trying to get over than anything financial. When you talk to men who are actually around our age and been divorced, that's what they say.
Absolutely. I had this professor, and he was on his third wife, and he was just like, one case, and I'm right back in there. He didn't care about the divorce, the settlements, the nothing. He was just like, it's money. It comes, it goes. You can get it back. If you got it once, you can get it again. But I don't think that. I think those are excuses, and I think it's covering and masking fear. You all talked earlier about like the variety that's out there and the FOMO. And I say a lot of times people date a lot and pick and choose a lot to distract from whatever's going on the inside. So when you said those men were going to therapy now and they're seeing what they really want, and all those dates and all that, like, friends with benefits, slides, whatever they had going on, it's just distracting them from the life that they think they can't live. Like they want it. You hear, like, you don't spend this amount of time talking about something that you don't want.
Right.
And they spend every hour of every day on social media going back and forth over this, that, and the third. I'm like, you want it. You just don't know how to have it. That's really the problem.
Yeah. That's good.
Man, that's crazy. Which brings me to my next question.
Okay.
What's up?
How did you guys' upbringing influence your perception on marriage and dating? And I'm going to start with you, Hafiz, and then I'm going to work your way around.
Gotcha. Yeah. As you all know, I'm very fortunate to come from a 2-parent household. And I really didn't know how fortunate that was until I kind of got older, and saw that dynamic. Yeah, I noticed like, well, I thought that was kind of typical. As a kid, I thought it was like more typical, like, oh yeah, I got 2 parents. But as I got older, I saw that a lot of people don't come from that. So seeing it firsthand, I got mentioned earlier, I do believe in marriage. That would be the end goal for me. So that has impacted my dating life, knowing how to be in relationships. I've been in long-term relationships before. So it's given me the mindset that would be the end goal.
So I too come from a 2-parent home, but here's the kicker. My parents got married the month before I turned 6. So I lived the single parent lifestyle where I saw my dad on weekend visits and those types of visits, to having daddy in the house and every day, and seeing a marriage from its infancy to they're still married now. And Keon knows, I was a tomboy growing up. So I grew up with uncles and cousins. So I think my mentality is a little different. And so in dating, my mentality was very different. I didn't have the fairy tale, one day I want to grow up and be a wife and have kids. That was not what I wanted. I wanted to travel the world and honestly, like, have a boyfriend on each continent and just and be free. That's like the life I wanted to live. That's what I wanted. And so,
city girl life.
No, because I was raised in the church now.
Okay.
So, I got some morals and values about myself. But seriously, I didn't have that drive to become a spouse because I looked at marriage as duty and responsibility.
Interesting.
Kind of like fences, it's like he coming home and he bring the paycheck.
It's funny you
like
mention that because I used to be prejudiced about that. Like people who come from those 2-parent homes and parents are still together, they aspire to be married. That's all they think about. So that's interesting. That's a very interesting.
Some do. My little nephew, he's 6 and he wants his wife and his 2 kids, and my sister, she wanted more kids, but she has her husband and her kids, and some people do. And I don't know, it may be the fact that I was initially in a single parent home and then transitioned to a married home because my sister was raised from birth in a married home. So it could be that.
Yeah, so of course, love it that my parents are still together, and my entire life, me and my siblings. And I would say, seeing them, I saw the good and the challenges and what true unconditional love looks like. It means, and when I tell you, my mom is the epitome of that in unconditional love. My dad as well, but they just showed it differently growing up. And so I will say wanted to be, the desire to be married came more from being raised in the church than seeing my parents together. Because to your point, my mom was traditional, right? Even though she worked in pharmaceuticals and my dad did what he did, but she would cook us like breakfast every morning before school. We would eat dinner in the evenings together. Like it was, you had Sunday dinner. She cooked every day or every other day. I grew up cooking, and that's why I like to cook and everything. So to your point, I did see like, man, mom got 2-3 jobs.
Right.
She taking care of the kids. She going to work. She's, making sure. But then it was a balance, right? Because my dad will help do more of the schoolwork and the sports and everything like that. So I agree. I saw that it's a lot of work and it requires unconditional love, because to get to that longevity of over 40 years, you have to be in it, and having that foundation of God, if that's your faith and your religion, having that foundation and really. And so now it's like I still have that desire, but I just always kind of knew that having kids would be later in life, because I was so focused on my career and school and going all these degrees and to where I'm at now. So, yeah.
Let me ask you a question. You said something interesting. You said focus on school and, focus on getting a bag and, your accomplishments. Do you feel like sometimes that can hurt a black woman? Because they said 1 in 4 black women will be married in a lifetime. So I always wondered, do you feel like by them pursuing education and pursuing, getting ahead in life, do you feel like that can prevent them from getting the husband that they really want, because they wait so long to finally decide that they want to be married, because they're chasing degrees, they're chasing education and all of that? Is that a problem? Do you feel like that prevents women from getting to the promised land as far as being married?
I don't think so, because I know you said 1 in 4 black women, but what are the reasons? Because I know I see the different reasons. There's different studies of why that's the case. Some of them are because our preference might be to marry within our own race, and we know that's limited as far as where the black men are. Either they don't like us, or they're in prison, or they're dead, or whatever the case may be. That's the statistics, right? And so our pool is smaller if you choose to date inside your race. Okay. I don't think it prevents it. It's just, again, but what if the woman doesn't even want to have kids, or if they choose to not even be married? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it prevents them. I just knew I'm okay where I'm at in my life, because I knew in my 20s, when I got my second master's, I'm going to have kids later in life, because I knew I was the youngest person in my doctoral program. So I wanted to do it early. You know what I mean? I wanted to get it done. And I said, for me, it was just like, that was the reward. I don't regret any decision I made, because I know that my steps were ordered by God, and this is just my plan. My plan and my journey is different than in everybody. We all have a different path, and so you just have to be comfortable in the decisions you make, and try not to regret it.
Absolutely.
I respect that. For me, I come from a 2-parent home. My mother and my biological father never married. He had my father was born in the 30s, so I had older parents. My father,
born in 1930?
My father was born in 1935.
Oh, okay.
And my mom was born in 1947. So age difference there. And my father, I don't even think he has a high school education. He dropped out to take care of his mom and his 2 sisters. So he met my mom and stuff. And, he kept having health issues. And then before you know it, he had me and my brothers and stuff. Eventually he passed away, and she married my stepdad. So my mom and my stepdad married, and he was the breadwinner. My mom was a teacher and stuff, and until they passed away when I was 19 years old. My mom died when I was 19, and then my stepdad passed away when I was 20. So I didn't have a desire to get married, because I felt like a lot of the people that was close to me just passed away. So for me, I was afraid to put my trust into a relationship, put my trust into a woman, just because I didn't want to be hurt or feel like I'm disappointed. So I was out here playing the field, doing what I want to do when I want to do it. But it was just like she was saying, it was a fear there, because I was just afraid that I don't want to be hurt, or I just lost so many people early in life. Even though my my mother was married, it just kind of turned me off from the whole experience. But I am open to it. I think it's a beautiful thing, and it just sucks that when your parents are not here to ask them questions, and you want to ask your mom questions, you want to ask your dad at certain things, and I don't have that luxury. But I do have a good support system. But sometimes that can affect a man.
Your brothers who are in beautiful marriages for a long time.
And they had my parents a lot longer too. And my brother's my oldest brother is 60. Mm-hmm. My youngest brother is 46, and then you have me in my 30s. So I didn't grow up with them. Yeah. So I didn't really get to know them until I got older. I was kind of like that kid, hey, go over there, And they were already out of the house. So me and my siblings, I wish I would have grew up a little bit closer in age with them, but I didn't have that luxury. But my mom was at their weddings and met their children and stuff. So I'm kind of the late generation, but I definitely had some amazing parents, and I definitely aspire to be that one day. Got to find the right one first, though. I'm not saying it's easy. You know what I mean?
So right now you just single by choice.
Yeah, but I'm open to the possibility of love. I want love to just bite me. I want love to just grab me.
That ain't gonna happen.
You.
I want love to just grab me. Just
manifest it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You manifest the love.
Absolutely.
Put it in the atmosphere.
Come get me. Grab me.
Grab me.
I love love, because if it's love, let it be love, baby.
Okay.
I'm all for love.
You said you want to find the right one. Do you want to be the right one? Because a lot of times we put a lot of energy in that list and marking up who we want and how we want them to be, but then they get you and you a mess.
A whole mess, yeah.
And do we look inside and say, am I the right one for the person I'm looking for, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of times we focus on what we want instead of being who they need when we find them. And so a lot of times that's why I feel like things don't work out, because a lot of the energy is me, fill these voids that I have, and you got to come in here and do it for me. Whereas you also are meeting somebody with some voids and some hurts and some traumas and their own list, and nobody is paying attention. Like, am I even ready for this? And you mentioned something that what I had to do an assessment for myself, like over time, I'm like, that is like, I really did want to have a boyfriend on every continent and all this. And I was like, you can't really do that. And not maintain the values that you have as a person, because I've always had morals and values. Right. And I had to assess, and you said something that like hit on that, a lot of loss early on in your life. Yeah. And I lost a lot of people that I really loved and cared for. And so I wanted to be detached. Right. Like I wanted to detach myself and not like, I don't want to love anybody that much ever again. Right. And it wasn't even romantic relationships. And so I found that I would just have my distractions. Like the reason why I wanted a boyfriend on every continent, because I don't have to focus on anybody but me. Right. And I don't have to love anybody but me, for real. Like, I don't want to get that deep. And this is something I came to, I think, more recently. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I don't know if I can mention this on here or not. But I lost friends to DV early on in my early 20s. Like, early 20s. And I didn't realize it was shaping me the way that it was. But it wasn't like, I don't want anyone to love me that much. I don't want to love anybody that much. I don't want that in my life. So if I just stay a little bit disconnected.
Man, you sound just like,
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really good, man. Yeah. That sounds like, but me getting therapy and getting help, it helped me to really bring things back full circle. Because I was like, man, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this? Why is it easy for me to be detached versus being attached? Yeah. Why am I going through this? But then it kind of hit me. Just so much loss, and I just didn't want to go through that again. You know? Interesting. Cool. So let me ask you guys this: Is it necessary to be married if you don't want children? Should that? I mean, if it's a situation where you don't want children, but should you still want to get married? Is that even a thing? If you just don't want children, if you meet a guy, maybe he's perfect for you, great one, but he say, I just don't want kids. We're older now, we done it. Should we even get married?
I mean, it's everybody's. I think it's up to the individual. It's a choice. Because I know a lot of married people who still married, been married, they just don't have kids.
True.
But they wanted to have that partner, that somebody to build with, someone to come home to, someone to explore they travel, someone to build a business with, all of those other things. They wanted that. They felt like they were called to the ministry of marriage, because I agree it's a ministry, and their purposes is aligned. So, but they just decided we don't have kids, or they couldn't have kids, or whatever the case might be, but they're still rocking with that person. So.
And that's the thing. I think it's a choice, like Dr. V said. And I think people just see marriage as, okay, a vehicle for children, but this is families coming together. So they may not be mom and dad, but they may be aunt and uncle to somebody. Mm-hmm. And, this is my brother in love and not just my brother-in-law. Like, my sister and I were laughing earlier about how we don't let people go. Like, our uncles have moved on to new relationships, or, we have an aunt who's divorced, but her ex-husband is still our uncle, because it's like, you're in the family. Oh, and this is an extension of our family unit. Yeah, and that's the thing that I actually really loved about my parents' relationship, because I have two, family, but it's like one huge family where everybody knows each other, and it's very blended in that way. And so you get more than just kids from marriage. Like when my grandma on my mom's side passed away, my dad was at her bedside singing to her. When my grandma on my dad's side passed away, we were there. Like, the family was there. So it's more than just like birthing kids. Like, you're birthing a nation. You're birthing, you're giving
you have community.
Your legacy.
Community, yeah.
Right. Nah, I don't think you need a union just to have kids. I mean, people are having kids without the union anyway.
True.
But regardless of the situation, if two people want to be wedded in a union, regardless of their background, whatever the situation, if they can come together, they are deemed yoked, then I don't think children should be the end goal, or should be the requirement for you to be married.
Well, Mike, shout is, do you feel like marriage or being in a relationship threatens your freedom? That's why being single is so appealing in today's.
The truth.
Give me the raw dog.
I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, because I've heard people say if I'm in a relationship, or if I'm
that could be the number
freedom. Freedom is a powerful thing.
I'm gonna let you go first, but that could be really one of the top reasons why a lot of people are addicted to being single.
Ooh, we gonna get to it.
Respectfully, like that. That's it.
That's how I feel.
That's real.
That's just real.
Because I believe in honoring your relationship. Like I do, whether I'm with him in person or I'm in a crowd of other people, like I know to honor that relationship. Mm-hmm. However, there is a certain level of freedom that comes with just being in whatever relationship you want to be in and moving however you want to move. Like, I was talking about growing up and being a tomboy growing up. So I have guy friends who've been my friends for 35 plus years. Mm-hmm. Like, this is my brother. If I need something, he will be right here. Mm-hmm. But when you're in a relationship, it dictates how you move in those.
You got to get permission. Hey, I'm about to do the, I'm trying to go to Tony's house.
Boy.
Play some spades.
And it's like, nah. I'm like, I feel you. But when you're free, you don't have to ask any type. You don't have to have discussions. I don't want to say ask permission, because my daddy is okay with me being an adult. And that's the only man that ever asked permission for anything. But you do have to have these discussions and compromise. And when you're not attached to someone, you're not compromising.
I do what I want to do.
Whatever you want to do. Whenever you want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear your point first. But yeah, I honestly, Keon, I think that's really one of the top. I don't know if it's the number one for a lot of people, but I think that's really one of the top reasons why a lot of people just stay single, addicted to being single, because you got your own freedom. You don't have to answer anybody. You can move how you want to move when you want to move. Because when you're in a relationship, you do sometimes, in some instances, you may have to just check in with your partner. Sometimes you may even have to distance yourself. I ain't gonna say distance, but you may have to restrict how you react to some of your friends, your business associates. I mean, your other constituents that you may have. Because especially if you get married, a lot of times married folks don't want to always hang out with your bunch of single friends because they live in that single lifestyle and it can be toxic sometimes. You don't want to deal around with it. So, I think that could be one of the top reasons.
I used to get mad at some of my homeboys. You know, they finally get in a relationship, and I'm like,
they ain't got time for you
can't
like
hang out
that.
with your boy no
Can't
more.
We
can't hit the sports bar the way we used to. We can't play the what's
gotta
up,
check
man?
in with wifey. Gotta check in
She
with the
tells
lady.
you when
know
the
what I'm
P2,
saying?
like, come on, man, what we doing, dog?
Yeah.
Talking about is a relationship or they married?
Both. I'm just like, you still gotta make time for your boys though, because at the end of the day, I feel like your boys were here first. I get it. You gotta respect that woman, but it's like, if I'm in a relationship, I still want to make time for my friends too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm definitely no, because you hit a nerve. Because there are people who, well, you said make a habit of being in a relationship, so they're a serial relationship person.
Yeah, it's people who are always in relationships.
And then when they're with somebody, you don't hear from them, you don't see them, they don't show up. But when they break up, then they calling everybody. What's up?
Don't call me now. Don't be trying to call me.
Let's step out. Let's step out. Let's get.
So I like when I've dated and the man he believes like me, it's important for us to have our individuality. And so even in a serious relationship, we still because I'm just not a clingy person. Now, some people are very clingy and that works for them, but I'm not at all. So it's like, no, I have to have my time where I go and still have fun with my friends and there's that trust level and things of that nature. So I do believe that we know when you're single, you can move a certain way, especially for women, because, men, y'all are more, it's the protective side. Even with you, text me when you get home or things of that nature, or or my brother has my location, or when I leave the house, he making sure I'm strapped or something like that. Different things. Well, I'm just saying, because
Negroes be crazy.
So
I get it.
So for women, we have a little bit less freedom just for that, y'all protective nature of checking in, or if we go out of town, make sure you text me when you get there, or things of that nature, or call me, all that stuff. I used to deal with all that stuff, different things. I remember I was in a relationship and I got back from Aruba and I forgot to text him that I made it back safe, and I was just like, oh.
See, that'd piss me off. That was.
Yeah, but it was late and our flight was delayed. But my mom, she went in on me. She was like, you were supposed to, and I was like, okay, I see why you were upset. Yeah, it was international. And so, but just, again, it's that whole protective mode. So we got it worse, I feel like.
I agree.
And you don't realize that you got to, and I didn't realize when I'm in relationships, you have to consider the other person, especially when you're used to just moving how you just want to move. Because I'm like, hey, I'm Keon, I do what I want to do. Yeah. But you say you still got a whole another person right here. And sometimes it's hard to adjust your life to one other person when you used to just doing it the way you want to do it. You out to eat, hey, let's share a plate. I'm sharing a
and to add to that, not even just how you move, but like if you and the other person's dwelling, like if you at her house or she at your space, maybe you like your setup at your place, how you like it. Now you got somebody coming in and they shifting things around.
Have you ever thought about putting this right here?
You gotta leave the toilet seat up or down. That's a struggle
that's the thing with y'all guys. We can tell if y'all ain't never lived with a woman or y'all don't be around women too much when y'all notoriously leave the toilet seat up. I'm not gonna look at nobody on the show.
I didn't do it.
Hey,
see him, I'm innocent.
Charge it to his heart, not his head.
Oh my God.
But let me ask you this. Can you have freedom? Is it possible to have freedom in a marriage or in a relationship? Can you still have your freedom while still being in a relationship if it's clear on what it is as far as dealing with each other? Because I feel like I don't hear a lot of people saying too much about that. They just say, they look at it as a jail sentence. I'm in a relationship. I'm tied down now. But it's like, can you still have freedom within that?
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, the people I know, when I lived in Maryland, a lot of my married friends, female friends, and they the longevity, they would tell me, V, like how you get the longevity is they would once a month we would have go to a winery or girls' night. So they would have that time to where the husband would do his thing and they would do something. They kept their individuality. And they say that's what helps them keep their sanity. Because they're not always, you have to have a little bit of freedom. And that comes with trust, right? That comes with trust and respect. If men, y'all are big on that. If y'all know how we carry you and we represent you guys when we're out without you, and we're going to be respectful, then y'all are let go of the reins a little bit, right? And things of that nature. So I definitely know a lot of people but it's healthy. And it goes back to if we're not healed and we got all these issues and trauma and triggers, then it's going to be so much difficult when you're in a relationship, marriage, to get through if you don't work on that stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think you have to redefine what freedom is. And I think in any relationship, like I have my homegirls, we have our friendship, and each friendship might be a little bit different because I'm having to adjust based on how we met. Like, how are we like homegirls who like do business and work that way? Are we homegirls to where I can tell all my secrets and it ain't gonna come out? Or, we just like kick it and we can go, we the trip taking friends or whatever. And you adjust. And you adjust when you're in a relationship, because I think you try to bring in your single status into your relationship status. Of course you're going to have conflict because you're still seeing things as a single person.
You got poly relationships now, and you got all these different types of relationships now, which is true for me.
Yeah. Poly relationships are being more prevalent now. People just
we're seeing it on social media, huh?
People say they're seeing them on dating apps too. Poly, hey, I'm looking for a third one,
looking for third party. Open relationship, all of that. Yeah.
And now we're seeing more women who are, and they got the two men, because I thought it was always the men would have the multiple women. But now I keep seeing it on social media, like at least once a month, because it's trending. They were like, look at the woman, and she got two men, and they say, yeah, we both husbands. And I'm like,
no.
Yeah,
that's due to the economy. I'm just joking. They just try to put out like, look, how much you make? How much you make? How much you make? All right, we gonna split these goddamn bills. That's what we can do.
That's wow.
I'm joking when I say that. But.
No, you might have some, because there was another story where the woman was like, she is the breadwinner. It was a guy.
Yeah.
He was a black male. He took care of the house, and they both went to work, the wives, and they took care of him.
Oh, well.
Yes, they was in the poly. Yes.
So you said they were the breadwinner, or he was the breadwinner?
They were breadwinners.
That shit crazy.
And they were Caucasian, and they went to work.
Sister wives or whatever.
Yeah, he sounds like he's pimping.
That's what I thought. Because when you look at the comments, it's like, but he was like, oh no, I'll cook for them, I'll clean, because they working. They bringing them.
He's the homemaker, and they go out.
And he had two wives. Yes.
Yeah, he's an anomaly for sure. But
so that's I brought that up because you mentioned it because of the economy. So I'm thinking maybe that's why he's doing it.
I mean, for him, they make money, and he need a place to stay. And
that's crazy.
Homosexual sounds like to me.
Yeah, homosexual. Or he paying rent with.
Let me ask you guys something. I have a question for you guys. We have conversations about being single, being in a relationship, and just knowing the difference. But let me ask you guys something, because we all been in relationships before, we all been single before. What would you say is the most difficult thing about being single is? Because, it's pros and cons to everything. What would you, and I'm going to start with you, V, and then I'm working my way around. What do you feel like is the most difficult
I got to go first.
What? Man, because I want you to go first.
I think the adaptation part. I mean, because, you have your moments of being lonely, but it's really, when you talk about work on yourself, it goes to an inner peace, like, right? You can, it's a mental thing. Like, there's ways where you might have your times of being lonely. A lot of people feel lonely around the holidays and things of that nature when they're not in relationships. So that's a big one. But I like when I think Hafiz said trying to adapt to being with someone when you are used to moving a certain way for so long and being single. So if you be single too long, that's when it's harder. It takes harder. It's more resistance to adapt to, we're coming together. I got to move differently, or even something real simple. When my therapist told me, when you get married, you talk about the finances, of course, but she was like, yeah, you would have to ask your husband before you spend all that money on a Gucci bag or this and that or this and that. And I was like, what? And she was like, but wouldn't you want him to ask you if he spent this money on a chain or a different thing? Because when she was getting me to think like, when you're married, it's not I, it's we. So that's why I say that's a big con of the longer you're single, it's harder to become we.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Real stuff. Miss CM.
Thing about being single.
Most difficult thing about being single.
I don't think there's anything difficult about being single. I'm just being honest. I don't. I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's
talk your
amazing.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I ain't mad.
I just don't think there's difficulty unless you're a type of person who has to have people around or someone around, and that's what drives you. But like for me, I just never found it difficult being single. I found it was just like a condition that you were in. Like I think people put so much on it.
Right.
And I'm like, at this point, at this stage, I'm not with anyone. Okay, cool. At this stage, I'm with someone. Okay, cool.
But let me ask you this, Sam. But you don't have your moments where it's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm doing this by myself, but it'd probably be nice if I had somebody to accompany me in this. I'm not saying you need them there. I'm just saying, do you ever have moments here and there where it's like, you know what, this would be nice. I'm snuggled up on the couch, about to watch Best Man Holiday. I could use a little chocolate something to accompany me, while I'm watching this little holiday movie. Just little things like that.
No.
Okay.
No, because people are always available.
Yeah, you can call somebody.
Tyrone, Bob, John, whoever. But
yeah.
So no, I just don't find. I have never understood the difficulties people had with being single.
Respect.
Because I'm just like,
respect.
You came in this world by yourself. You gonna leave this world by yourself. Like relationships are hard because you're dealing with somebody else. But if you got trouble dealing with yourself, I think it's not the singleness that's the problem.
Yeah. That's why I say it's a mentality.
Yeah.
Like you can get over being lonely. It's okay if you have lonely moments, but when people have a constant state of loneliness,
yes,
it's something deeper.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mr. Hafiz.
I think yes, being single is your own freedom. Yeah, it can be amazing. You can just do whatever you want. But I think if we say a difficulty of being single, I would say is more of a difficulty for those who are single to find that person that would meet their standards. That's the difficulty, wherever your standards are, but finding that person as you evolve. Because, hopefully we all are evolving in ourselves. And then when you evolve, naturally your standards are going to adjust and change. So I think that's the main difficulty for a lot of singles, finding that person that would meet your standards. And it's such a weird, gray area sometimes when you've been single for too long or just got out of a relationship, because it can be sometimes problematic if you got out of a long-term relationship, depending on how the relationship was, and then you take a break and then you jump back into a new one or start talking to somebody new after you haven't really healed from the previous one. So that can be a weird gray area when it comes to just adjusting to single life or trying to get into a relationship.
I agree with all of you guys. I would say being single is addicting because you come and go when you want, like you said, just enjoying your own energy. But at the same time, for me, I would say the most difficult thing is when you have to sometimes, like Connie said, you have to deal with yourself. Sometimes you have to, at the end of the day, when you're at home and you got to lay your head down at night and it's just you, you know the issues you need to work on. You know what's probably preventing you from that relationship that you probably aspire to have. You know what I mean? So I think it creates opportunity for you to have to just deal with yourself and deal with your own demons, if you have any, but just dealing with self. Because I feel like sometimes we give everything else attention, but we neglect ourselves. We neglect whatever personal issues or feelings we have, whether it's trauma, whether it's upbringing and stuff. So I feel like being single, the most challenging part is sometimes you just got to deal with yourself and just work on it and say, okay, I know I need to work on this. I never really took time out to work on this. Because sometimes when we're in relationships, we don't really see, outside looking at, we don't see our blind spots like that. But it's funny when you out of it. Or maybe I was with a great girl and then I say, damn, I fucked up. And then you look back and you be like, damn, man, I want her back. And hindsight is always 20/20, but you're like, man, you know what? I need to do this better. So it helps you to kind of look at your issues and say, all right, I can do this better.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all this. So let's moving on. So they said by the year 2030, 50 to 55% of people will be single by 2030. And obviously we know marriage rates are going down right now. Do you guys see this changing in the near future where marriage rates and relationships rise up again? Or do you feel like it's going to continue to get worse and worse because we got social media? Let's look at our music. Look at the culture. Look at what we're promoting out here. Thought culture, my booty hole's brown, all this stuff. Do you see it changing for the better, or would you say it's going to continue to get worse? But if you're fortunate enough, hey, just find somebody you can build life with and just get out the way. What do you guys think about that? Do you feel it? Do you see it changing?
The only thing that's going to increase is the population. We're going to have more kids and more people being. I just think I don't. With the dating, with this deregulated dating climate, like I have to say, people have more access to people, and we not have a more inflated reality of our options. I don't think it's going to increase. The only thing we can do is continue to spark conversations, chocolate conversations like we're having right now, to continue to just put good vibes and essence to people that, that you can still find one and believe in being in relationships. But, that's neither here or there. But I don't think it would increase.
Connie? See him.
I think if people get off social media and touch grass, I believe marriages can happen. I just went to a wedding a couple of weeks ago. I do believe marriages can. Actually, I think the divorce rate, I don't think the divorce rate is actually going up, but the marriage rate is going down. I think it's possible to increase marriage if people know what marriage is going in and cut the ties to the fantasies.
Because they only know what they're being taught. They only know what's being fed to them.
Yeah, so cut the cord.
V?
I don't see it getting better. Just be honest.
Damn, just like that.
I agree with Hafiz. It's like we moved so far from our parents' generation. Yep. People don't even make it past the 5-year mark. They have some people are delusional about what marriage really is and what it takes. Even relationships and commitments. Yeah. You see people, they'll tell you even if they want to get married later in life or whatever, they're saying, if I get with somebody, if he does one thing, they don't give enough people grace in a relationship. They cut them up. They throw them to the wayside, to your point, because they know they have access. I'm going to slide in 3 more people's DMs. So because it's just the reality we're in, right? Yeah. I still desire to be married. My faith is going to be steadfast in my faith that I know it's going to happen one day in God's time and not my timing. I know a lot of dope people who still desire to be married. They have that understanding of I'm doing it once. Their perspective is different. So they desire that. But when you do meet a lot of people and you talk to them about their future desires, they keep it real. No, we got too much access. We got too much freedom. It's the grass is always greener, or they have that fear of
missing out.
Missing out, but the woman's gonna take me for all my money, and it's like you ain't got no divorced friends, so you just saying that. Yeah. So I don't see it getting better.
I don't see it getting better either. But back to what CM was saying, individually, if you understand what it is and what it means and what it's symbolic of and what it takes, I think it is very possible for people to still accomplish that in today's current climate.
Yeah, we just need more visuals of it. Yeah. I think in our culture, it's not a lot of visuals of happily married people.
Now, one more question before we get to the hot, stinking mess topic of the day. You guys don't want to miss this. Oh, and while you guys are continue to rock with us, make sure you like this video, share this video, subscribe to this video, and make sure you comment on this video while you still rocking with Chocolate Conversations podcast. So one more question, guys. I'm going to start with you, and I'm working my way around.
Okay.
Would you marry a woman like your mother? Would you marry your mother? What I mean by that is, would you marry a woman just like your mom?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My mom she supports my father. She never disrespects him. Yet my father protects, provides. So they have a cohesiveness that's the reason why they've been married over 40 plus years. So absolutely.
Do you feel like there's women out there in your generation that's just like your mom?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I gotta decipher through it. But yeah, I absolutely believe it do. Yeah, there are some marriage-minded, already wives women are out there. They just ready for their husband. Yeah, absolutely.
CM.
Would I marry someone just like my father?
Yes.
No. I marry the improved. I'll marry the improved version of him, a country boy, but improved.
Yeah.
Same.
Dr. V.
Same. Me and my daddy have these transparent conversations. He's like, I don't want you to marry nobody like me. So it's like the good versions of him, in which, because we're similar, I get my intelligence from him, ambitious, go-getter, things of that, driven, very future-oriented, like we always thinking 10 steps ahead, business-minded. So those parts, he definitely, being a provider, being a protector, have standards, things of that nature, knows how to handle himself in the street and in the boardroom, right? Can be versatile,
exactly.
having that. So those parts, me and him talk about. He's like, yeah, you need somebody like me. But there's other things that it's like, again, my parents got married when they were 21, so he's like, no, some things it's like, I want you to do better than me, you know. So.
I would say, would I marry a woman like my mom? My mom was my mom was tough as a bag of nails, very lovable. So I would marry a woman like my mom. Slightly different because, that's your mom, but I would, as far as her tenacity, how she loves and, her strong-willed, absolutely. You can take different things from your parents,
For sure.
So,
Exactly.
man, great conversation, guys. But let's go ahead and segue to the next segment of this show. Hafiz, hot mess, chocolate conversations, hot topic of the day. What you got for us, brother?
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going to keep it real sweet here. Now, we all know in this deregulated dating climate, you never know what you may get sometimes.
Yeah, that's his
never.
favorite word.
Deregulated.
Deregulated, because it's just no restrictions. It's just wide open. Like I said, you never know what you're going to get. And so a guy went viral, right? Where he says he's recommending that he would prefer to date women with kids. Why? Because it lets him know that they were born a woman.
Oh my God.
What? Wait a minute.
Like I said, you never know what you're going to get when you're approaching people,
So he's saying because of what's going on out here, you got so many different things
so
going
many
on.
different, yeah.
That's okay.
Can you make sense of his vetting of how he dates women?
I mean, I'm gonna answer and then we're gonna go around. I guess if it works for him, I think that's crazy, because what if she does have kids, but she's crazy or she's not the sharpest blade in the drawer? I don't know.
Right.
I think it's crazy, a little crazy. But if that works for him, and that's how that brother, if that's his best way of vetting a woman properly, that's hey, do your thing, King. It's kind of strange, but
what about y'all?
Go ahead, V. She like that.
I've never heard nothing like it. I mean,
yeah.
So just because,
like, he knows she's a woman because she had kids.
Because she had kids. But did he see her push out the kids?
Exactly.
Like,
Caitlyn Jenner has kids.
I say it all the
That's
time.
true. They have surrogates.
If you transition afterwards, or it's just like, some people do, or people have surrogates and other people carry it, or whatever the case may be. True. That's wild.
It's
crazy work.
It's wild.
I don't know why people act like transgender people are new. I know when I was watching Jerry Springer and what was that?
Not the Jerry Springer.
Yeah,
You just
back
take
in the
it
day.
People
as
have always existed, and now
Right.
all of a sudden you got to make sure that the person has given birth. How does he know? Is he checking C-section
and
scars?
In the
most-
Biggie
Like,
Smalls
What
video,
is it?
video, they had a girl at the stall taking a piss, like standing up. I'm like,
The lead,
okay. In the 90s, I'm
the
like,
lead was one too. So it's like, and they probably don't even want him. So you know, again, what is he running from, hiding from?
Come
What's
on.
the bigger issue?
What you hiding from, baby?
like,
So you
that
think it's
doing
something
that?
more deeply rooted in why he's vetting women like this?
Because that, to me, I believe he's been in a situation before. And I'm like, where are you frequenting where this is what your dating pool is? Because they are a small segment of the population. And
So maybe he had an interaction with a transformer and it didn't go well.
You just never know.
Just never know. Like I said, you never know.
Some people don't. It is what it is.
I don't know. I think maybe it's just like a troll. But I mean, if he is vetting women like in this manner, I think it's a little bit absurd. I mean, because like you said, you just going by that way, you don't know how the woman is. She could have some history or crazy or mental. So,
And I wouldn't want that person around my children. That man who's focusing. It brings more questions to me.
It's a lot of
targeting
questions.
It's a lot of
single
questions.
mothers.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
no.
do you if that's what you want to do? But
Yeah.
it's a lot to unpack there.
I certainly wouldn't recommend guys to vet women like this just because of that. So,
I would think it's a lot more to vet.
yeah.
That part.
Man, thank you guys again for being a part of this show. Man, great show today, guys. Do you guys have one last word you want to say to our audience out there? Just one word to sum up when it comes to being single. Is there any advice or anything you guys want to leave with before we leave and
You
depart?
gonna lead, sir?
Oh, I was trying to give ladies the floor first.
When it comes to single life or relationship, like any advice or just even if it's just a one word thing, anything you want to say?
I would just say, as you out here trying to vet through this deregulated dating market, just be intentional. And if you're dating with intentions, if you're not sure, just be intentional.
Respect. CM writer.
I would say, as you are dating, know what you're dating for, and don't be ashamed if you're not ready to be married and committed. Like, you're just not ready, and don't dive into anything before you are. Have an open heart, an open mind, and be willing to understand the person that you meet who's on a separate journey from yours, but you could at some point be on the same journey together. And please stop listening to the Kevin Samuels acolytes because they are lying to you.
Rest in peace, Kevin Samuels.
R.P. to the Godfather.
Rest in peace.
And on the flip side of being single, if that's what you choose to do, it's a very empowering. That's your choice. Don't be pressured by society or family to be in a relationship. And if you're choosing to be single, live freely in that and enjoy life. Because once you do get married, you're gonna be thinking about when you were single. Because I know people who say that when they reminisce on their single days. So just enjoy every moment in your single journey.
One last note from me, I'm gonna say, and if to piggyback off of what all of you guys were saying, stop worrying about what the next man is doing or what the next woman is doing. You know, when it's your time, it's your time. Maybe it may not be a season yet. Maybe God wants you to work on you a little bit more before you can be available to someone else. So stop worrying about what your homegirls are doing or if they're married and you're not married. You know, run your own race. Eventually, God will find somebody for you to put in your life for the better. So thank you guys again. Chocolate Conversations Podcast. We just wrapped up another episode. Until next time.